Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to treat our time together like a fun, high-energy stage rehearsal. We are literally going to learn how to perform poetry out loud. And because we want absolutely everyone, especially our third-grade friends out there, to follow along perfectly, we're going to keep our pacing nice and slow and super clear. So go ahead and warm up those voices because we are jumping right in.
So, let me ask you something right off the bat. Have you ever tried to sing a poem out loud, like really belt it out? We usually think of reading as this very quiet thing we do in our heads, right? You sit in a library, you whisper, but today we're going to discover that some poems are absolutely not meant to be quiet. No way. They're meant to be loud, they're meant to be proud, and they're meant to be full of music.
All right, let's dive right into Section 1, Meet the Musical Poet. Every great play needs a director, so let's meet ours. We are talking about an amazing poet named Vachel Lindsay. He was born in Springfield, Illinois, and here's the wild thing about him. He actually hated silent reading. He thought it was totally boring. He didn't want you to just sit there and stare at words on a piece of paper. He wanted his poems to be chanted and shouted and sung at the top of your lungs, kind of like how the ancient Greeks used to tell stories thousands of years ago. He really wanted reading a poem to feel exactly like cheering for your favorite team at a giant sports game.
Moving on to Section 2, Building our Stage Vocabulary. Before the curtain goes up, we need our props. And in poetry, our props are super fun, brand new words.
Let's learn 3 awesome words to use on our stage. First up is pranced. Now, if you've ever seen a puppy that just got a treat or a deer moving with those really high, bouncy, happy steps, they are prancing. Next, we have layers. Think of a hidden, top-secret cave where a dragon hides its treasure or where a sleepy bear takes a nap. That's a layer. And finally, ebony. Ebony is a type of wood that is super heavy and beautifully darkly black. In fact, if you've ever played a piano, those dark black keys are often made of ebony. Now just picture a magical animal that just pranced right out of a dark ebony layer. Do you see how those words just paint a picture in your mind?
Okay, Section 3, Finding the Poem's Pulse. We have our word props ready, so now we need to find the rhythm. Every great song has a beat, right? Well, poems have them too.
I'm going to read something very slowly, and I really want you to feel the drum beat with me. Are you ready? Boom lay, boom lay, boom lay, boom. Do you hear how that bounces? Short, short, long. Da, da, dum, da, da, dum. This awesome bouncy rhythm actually has a very fancy name, anapestic meter. It creates a rolling, moving flow that feels exactly like a loud, pulsing drum.
And that drum beat perfectly illustrates one of the absolute best words in the English language, onomatopoeia. Now that is a giant word, but it means something super simple. It's just when a word sounds exactly like what it means. When a bee flies by, what does it do? It makes a buzz. A snake makes a hiss. Bacon in a frying pan makes a sizzle. And a big, giant drum makes a boom. Poets use these sound words as special little tricks to make us feel like we are standing right there inside the story.
Let's head into Section 4, Painting with Words. We've got the sounds down perfectly. Now, let's figure out how poets create the magical scenery on our stage. A poet's toolkit basically has 2 main sides to it. On one side, you have the audio track. These are all the sound devices made for our ears, like the rhymes and those big booms and buzzes we just talked about. But on the other side, you have the visuals. These are figures of speech made for our eyes. They help build completely clear pictures inside our minds so we don't just hear the story, we actually see it happening.
So how exactly do we build those pictures? Well, take a look at this trick. Personification. It sounds tricky, but it's really just playing make-believe. It's pretending that everyday, non-human objects are alive and human. For instance, if a poet says, "The hills tell each other secrets," well, hills don't have mouths to talk, right? Or if you say, "The wind whistled a happy tune," or "The sun smiled down at me." By pretending these objects are human, the poem suddenly feels incredibly magical and alive.
Here is another incredibly cool visual trick called synodoke. This is a really fun shortcut poets use. It's when a tiny part of something is used to stand for the whole big thing. Instead of saying, "I see 50 houses," a poet might say, "I see 50 roofs." Or think about it like this. If someone points at a really cool car and says, "Hey, nice wheels," the wheels are just one part, but they stand for the entire car. Or if a ship captain yells, "All hands on deck," they don't just want hands, they want the whole sailor. By focusing on just one little part, the poet gives us a brand new, fresh way to look at something totally normal.
All right, we made it to Section 5, performing the Congo poem. You guys know the history, you know the amazing vocabulary, and you know the poet's tricks. It's finally time for our grand rehearsal using Vachel Lindsay's super famous poem, The Congo.
So in Act 1, the director's notes tell us we have to use a deep, heavy, rolling bass voice. I want you to imagine you are a giant, thunderous drum. Fat black bucks in a wine barrel room, to the tune of boom, lay, boom, lay, boom. Do you hear how heavy and loud that is? The words and that anapastic meter work together to show a powerful, totally wild energy.
But then we get to Act 2, and the feeling flips completely upside down. The script instructions tell us to shift our voices to be rather shrill and quick and high. A Negro fairyland swung into view, a minstrel river. Suddenly, the picture in our mind is light, it's delicate, and it's full of jumping, happy spirits. The heavy, booming drum is completely gone, and it's replaced by a floating, dancing fairy tale.
And finally, in Act 3, everything just slows way, way down. The rhythm kind of breaks apart and fractures. The directions tell the performer to speak in a penetrating, terrified whisper. Let's try it together, very slowly. Mumbo jumbo will hoodoo you. Mumbo jumbo will hoodoo you. See how spooky that gets? The bouncy rhythm just fades away into this eerie, echoing whisper.
Now, through all these amazing acts, the poem keeps talking about the Congo. But in our stage play, the Congo isn't just a regular, everyday river made of water. It is this roaring, continuous, creeping force that cuts right through the forest, leaving a golden track. It's an epic, magical energy that connects everything, the heavy drums, the dancing fairies, and the spooky whispers, all into one huge, incredible story.
Here we are at Section 6, Final Curtain Call Quiz. You all did wonderfully in rehearsal today. Now it's time for our cast party, which means a super fun, low-stakes quiz to see just how much you remembered.
Okay, here are the first 2 questions. I'll read them nice and slow, and I want you to shout the answers out in your head. Number 1. Which Illinois city was our musical poet Vachel Lindsay born in? And number 2. Which fancy meter or drum beat goes da-da-dum, short, short, long, just like boom, lay, boom? Go ahead and think about it for a second.
Let's keep the party going. Number 3. Substituting the word roofs for the whole word houses is an example of what super cool visual trick. And number 4. In which act of the poem do we slow way down and hear a terrified whisper?
All right, let's see how you did. The answers are number 1, Springfield. Number 2, anapestic meter. Number 3, synecdoche. And number 4, Act 3. Huge congratulations to you all. You just mastered some very big, very impressive concepts today, and you honestly did a fantastic job.
And that really brings us to the absolute most important lesson of the day. Vachel Lindsay's biggest rule of all was this: poetry is never, ever meant to be trapped silently on a piece of paper. By treating the text like a living script and using your unique voice to make the rhythm bounce and flow, poetry comes completely alive. It absolutely must be felt, and it definitely must be heard.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought to spark your creativity. If you were to sit down and write your very own poem today, what kind of loud, wild musical instruments would your words sound like? Would they be crashing cymbals, maybe a buzzing trumpet, or a giant booming drum? Thank you so much for exploring the wonderful rhythm of words with me today. Keep reading out loud, keep making some noise, and I'll catch you all in the next explainer.